And you're listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, The Source Radio. As we're 20 minutes before the top of the 11 o'clock hour now, as we said, good morning on this Wednesday, May 27th. So we've had a good show for you so far. We just finished up with higher education, as we talked a little bit there about what opportunities there are. There are, in lieu of talking with speakers Bonnie Hayes, Business Technology Coordinator, and Kathleen Robbins as the Associate Professor for Early Childhood Education. So good stuff there as we mentioned for what, opportunities there are with you to better yourself within this community and the opportunities to bring to you through the source with information you can use. As we are coming towards the round out of our show here on this Wednesday, as we were talking about quite a few things today as we began the show with a little bit of the talk of the expectations of the theme parks and how Universal already made a pledge or a appointment as such to the task force of Orange County to get with them to come up with a day for June 5th as Universal plans to reopen its parks. And it's today that Disney World and SeaWorld to present their reopening plans to the task force. That's out of Orange County. Walt Disney World and SeaWorld will present their reopening plans to the Orange County Economic Recovery Task Force today, this morning, with Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings revealed during a brief news brief on Tuesday. The presentation will be made at, right now, actually, 10 a.m. and provide a better idea of when both theme park operations plan to reopen and what safety measures they plan to implement. Now, an Orange County enforcement team visited the parks Tuesday to see if they were in compliance with the CDC recommended guidelines. As Demings said, he previewed the plans ahead of Wednesday's presentation and looked forward to sharing good news. Now, last week, like we mentioned, Universal Orlando presented its reopening plans to the task force, and the plans, which included mask requirements, temperature checks, social distancing measures, were endorsed by Demings and approved by Governor Ron DeSantis. So with that said, Universal plans then to reopen its parks to the public on June 5th as a part of the phased reopening. Now, the parks will first reopen to employees June 1st through the 2nd, followed by invited guests and some pass holders June 3rd through the 4th. Now, the theme parks, which have been closed since mid-March because of coronavirus, have already taken some steps towards reopening. Now, Universal first opened its City Walk district on May 14th with a limited number of shops and restaurants. Now, visitors are required to wear masks and undergo temperature checks, so you can see that following suit with the guidelines within Universal's theme park as it opens June 5th. Now, Disney followed a week later with the phased reopening of Disney Springs, its shopping and dining district. Masks, temperature checks were also required for the visitors of Disney Springs. And meanwhile, SeaWorld has been testing its roller coasters with riders wearing masks. Yep. So there's standing in line, I get. Riding on the roller coaster with wearing a mask. And if it's mandatory that you have to, that's absurd. Anyways, if Disney and SeaWorld's reopening plans are approved by the task force, Demings said he will write letters of endorsement for both and send them to DeSantis for final approval. So that's what they're hoping for. So maybe after today, what we could see later today in the news tomorrow is maybe the day in which will be posted for Disney World to reopen. As we know, there's a lot of people who are itching to do Disney World and some of these theme parks. And we were talking earlier when we mentioned with Galen, as a big part of it was for the push for, obviously, the pass holders, which probably will be 75, if not more, % of the people who are there. Is probably we're not going to have the huge international travel at all for those visiting the park. But like he said, and I agree with him, that probably within 100 miles of living near Disney World are the people that are going to go, especially the annual pass holders. And it's something to look forward to as we talked about these warm days coming up with lots of sunshine, that most of stuff at Disney World's outside anyway. So that'll be good. We were also talking a little bit today about some stuff in lieu of sports and what they're planning to do to open up. As we mentioned, some discussions about what the NHL is doing, and a lot of people are on board with agreeing to what they're doing as they kind of hit it out of the park with their expectations of what they plan to do with what's left of the regular season to enter into the idea of the playoffs. Now, the big thing is whether or not American Major League Baseball is going to get there, as we were talking about that this morning, kind of in the agreement that maybe it's not probably going to come to fruition for this year's 2020 Major League Baseball season. It's hard to see that coming to fruition, as unless something just happens overnight, it's hard to see that. But nonetheless, we're making the conversations there. We talked about sports and what it means to have them coming back, which is huge, which is good. And then after that, we actually got into the discussion, which was pretty good for your Wednesday. I forget what we called it. What did we call it? For Your Wallet Wednesdays or something to that extent. But we were talking about when we had Avilio in this morning, we were talking about 7 things that most Americans waste their money on. And giving an annual idea is one thing in price, but we're going to go monthly here. Is that on average, most people spend about $1,500 a month wasting their money on these 7 things. And we started with number 7, kind of like a little David Letterman on the way up to the number 1. But the number 7 idea of wasting money is on impulse buys, from as simple as the candy bar to the M&Ms and all that candy bar, all the way up to which became the 2019 number 1 impulse buy. Could be anything that you just buy and decide to buy right there on the spot, was which is great advertising, by the way, was the Peloton exercise bike, as that was the number 1 impulse buy. Probably the idea that you're going to get healthy riding that bike. It looks fun, so on and so forth. But impulse buys and what you can do to discipline yourself as far as getting or buying impulse items. Number 6 was the avenue of television and what it means to kind of be up and up on what it is you're spending on something like that. Growing up, it was almost like it was like one of those utilities that you would have with TV. And then people are actually starting to see the absurdity in price for having something like that when it comes to the cable or the dish. And with that in mind is the idea of all of these streaming apps and services now, which more people are looking at to lower the price. But one of those things that's bigly wasted on when it comes to financial is your television provider. So that was number 6. Number 5, this one was interesting, as number 5 was discussed as having or getting or purchasing the extended warranty to an item that you would buy. So, for example, buying, I think Vilio mentioned the grill that he bought, feeling on the side of responsibility that he's doing the right thing, ends up buying the extended warranty for maybe a year or 2 years. I think he said maybe it was good for 3 years or whatever. But the amount of money that's wasted on getting or buying the warranty added to it, as at the end of the day, a warranty usually doesn't end up holding up, considering how the extended warranty ends up becoming a waste of money. So a warranty at number 5. Number 4, this one here was interesting altogether, because I know quite a few people who do this, as scratch-off and lottery tickets became the number 4 item that most Americans waste their money on. And when you break it down, I think they said on average $86 a month to most people who spend money on lottery and scratch-off tickets for the expectation to win big. I guess you gotta risk it instead of sitting on your biscuit to try to win the money. But the idea is this: the money that's spent for most Americans on average when it comes to lottery and scratch-off could put that way and maybe see themselves as early retirement. And let's face it, we're playing the lottery so we can retire early, but there's an avenue there of discipline that comes along with it. So number 4, as one of the most wasted, is lottery and scratch-off tickets. Now, number 3, as one of the 7 things that number 3 most Americans waste their money on, is Well, clothing and apparel. And like we said, a lot of people feel guilty that if there's a sale, you got to look at getting something, right? Just buy one, get one off, or the dot, or whatever it is that gives you the discounted price. If you're getting a deal, might as well go ahead and get it because it's something that we think we need. When most of the time, on average, they say that a percentage of the clothes that do get bought that are wasted on is because they sit in the closet and don't get worn. Or it's to the idea that if you end up taking a piece of clothing or you're going to purchase a piece of clothing, is that for whatever you purchase, you've got to take an old one out of the closet. So that way you're not there with the options. You just have to wear what you bought, which is the new one. So number 3 was clothing and apparel for the wasted money on. Now, number 2, this one was interesting because overall it's the idea of technology, the latest and greatest. Well, when it comes to your phone, upgrades is a big waster. As they say, a lot of people will pay the extra money or waste the extra money for what's left on their plan to do their new phone upgrades, as they may not be eligible yet, but what looks like to be circumstantial money that's left. Because the new device has come out, it's time to upgrade once I pay that off. So one of the big, number 2, as far as wastes of American money is the idea of the phone upgrades. So just being patient, again, disciplined to wait to at least have the upgrade come through when you've done paid off what you needed to, or waiting on it till it's completely paid off and then downgrading a little bit on your monthly payment. And the number 1 that was the biggest waster, as far as number 1 for 7 things Americans waste their money on, number 1 is, and it was heavy in the idea of what we needed to do during the world pandemic with the lockdown, with the quarantine stuff. The number 1 waster is eating out. Now, like we said, there's a little bit ways to do that. Of course, being a little bit more responsible is how often you would eat out. But the big thing is not necessarily going to the restaurant. It's actually ordering in, getting delivery or takeout, when something like that could be just easily made at home, or a trip to the grocery store, then take the time to do it. And then they say if you are eating out, if you're eating out more often, maybe some of the things that can trim some fat on the total check, at least at that point, is maybe a lot of things of soda or the added drinks or adult beverages that go along with the meal, as maybe trimming the fat and just doing maybe a glass of ice water. So there you go as the 7 items. So indulgence, or number 7 was the impulse buy. Number 6 was your television provider. Number 5 was warranties. Number 4 was lottery tickets and scratch-offs. Number 3, clothing and apparel. Number 2, those little intricate phone upgrades which you can do to get the latest and greatest. And the number 1 was going out to eat and doing it often. As we know, you got a lot to pay for there. However, we encourage that now to support local business and get this economy going, that at least budget for it so it's something towards the end of the week that you can look forward to. I think they also mentioned is actually rewarding yourself. It's like you don't go out to lunch unless you feel like you've actually performed or done something well that deserves it, or if it's the idea of packing a lunch so that you've packed so often that you would deserve it maybe on Friday to then go out to lunch or out to eat. So there you go, as those are the top 7 things. So a lot of interesting stuff as we covered today, and nonetheless, it was a good show for this Wednesday. We're going to take just a short little break, and then we come back. We're going to round out the show here just for the last few minutes and lead you into the rest of the Wednesday and into Thursday. So you're listening to 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. We'll be back right after this.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Hey, this is Matt from Crossroad Auto Sales. I want to invite you to come over and check out our vehicles. All of our vehicles at Crossroad Auto Sales go through a rigorous 100-point safety inspection. We work with most outside finance companies, and we even have in-house financing available. Stop by today at 1800 Northwest 10th Street or give me a call at 690-6695. That's 690-6695. Crossroad Auto Sales. We won't leave you stranded at the crossroad.
WOCA.
A humid day today with intervals of clouds and sunshine, high getting up to 88. For tonight, becoming partly cloudy and remaining humid, a low tonight of 73. For tomorrow, periods of rain and a thunderstorm during the day Thursday with a high 90, patchy clouds at night, low 72. Friday, sunny clouds with a shower or thunderstorm, high 89. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Kevin Snyder.
Help prevent the spread of germs. Wash your hands with soap and hot water for at least 20 seconds and always wash before you touch your face, eat, or drink. Use hand sanitizers. Limit sharing of eating utensils. Practice social distancing and avoid physical contact. Sneeze or cough into a tissue or the inside of your elbow. Avoid contact with ill individuals. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. Download the free booklet at scientology.org/stay well.
Introducing Hero Mammoth, a nasal respirator wore alone or with a cloth mask. Stay protected while you talk, eat, and drink freely. For more info, visit www.heromammoth.com.
WOCA. Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Listening to AIM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, as we're just about 2.5 minutes before the top of the 11 o'clock hour, as that'll do it for us for here at the show. For AIM Ocala Live, I'm your host, Adam McEwen, as we've got a little wet weather even right now, just a little light rain, as we're now approaching 80 degrees, and with that, like we said, 40% chance now of showers and thunderstorm likely this afternoon, as we could use a little bit of the rain, but it is humid out there as we are in summertime now, as we're moving on through. So hopefully we have the launch this afternoon. Cape Canaveral sending those 2 Americans from U.S. soil to the space station. Hope that goes as well. And like we said before the break, Disney's talking this morning about when they can get their dates rolling to open up. So a lot's going on, as we're going to keep you informed right here, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source. As that'll do it for us for this Thursday. We talked a lot about a lot of different things, and I want to give a little shout out to Avilio for coming in the studios. We hope to have him here as Wednesdays to liven it up just a little bit. And a little thanks to Galen there, as we talk to him every day and all that good stuff. And to the guests we had today. So a lot of good information out there as our friends at Higher Education for the University of CF and all that good stuff. So as we say, for this day, this Wednesday, to move on tomorrow, another good show for you. As with Thursday, we do have Veterans News, and that'll get us closer to the end of the week. And, with that, too, I hope everybody stays safe out there. Use your logic. Get behind it. We talked about the UV index being high. We know the coronavirus doesn't like UV index, doesn't like UV light. So at the same time, get outside and enjoy some sunshine. It's raining right now, but the sun will come out again here soon. As we say, for AIM Ocala Live, is your host, Adam. Thank you so much for listening. It was a good Wednesday. Guess what? We're halfway through the week now. Let's get to that weekend. Until tomorrow, folks, as I sign off, as always, goodbye.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
President Trump will be in Florida later today to witness something America hasn't seen in nearly a decade.